Hello there, my name is Khan. Today we'll be talking about how to create a simple web application using a basic HTTP server and some of the current web technologies that we have at our disposal. In this lecture, we'll show how to create a simple laptop and mobile device application. Since this is a huge subject, this will be a multi-part series. This will be part one that is right now. In this respect, we will be using the HTML and client-side JavaScript to create a web page, and we'll use hypertext transport post protocol HTTP to communicate with simple primitive HTTP server. It is not going to be a secure HTTP server since we don't have commercial grade internet information server available, but you can port that anytime to a commercial grade internet server later on. For the time being, we'll just use a plain vanilla HTTP protocol, and a basic server will do. We'll basically show how to display a web page, how to connect to a web server in an intranet local area network, and you can expand that idea to the internet also. Later on, when we have a commercial grade HTTPS like the Internet Information Server, we'll be able to port it. We'll use the standard port 80, but I found that my port 80 is being used by some other application, so we'll use port 6000 or whatever that is available to communicate with the HTTP server. This is just a basic demonstration of how the basic web technologies, HTTP, the transport protocol, HTML, hypertext markup language, client-side JavaScript, jQuery, etc. fit together to create a web application. Uh, you need the jQuery if you are doing a mobile device and you want special buttons, lists, and other special look and feel. But it's not really necessary. For the time being, you can get away with HTML, JavaScript, Ajax. Ajax basically stands for asynchronous JavaScript and XML, and we'll go more into it. The web page will send a standard HTTP request to the HTTP server via post action of the HTTP to process the CGI script executable. In the industry, they use Perl PHP, but since I don't have Perl PHP, I'll use C++ as the CGI script that and I've used O concept there to process the HTTP request. The CGI script will process the request and send a response back to display on the client side of the screen, and the response will be displayed. Now let's look at a diagram of how all this fits together. Now here we have on the screen, you can see that we have the client computer. Client computer, if you have a web app, you need HTML for creating web pages and programming web pages. You need client-side JavaScript for validation of various fields and business rules. You need Ajax to run HTTP requests in parallel, concurrently, and in an asynchronous way, in a non-blocking way. So we'll use Ajax quite extensively out there. If you're doing a mobile app, you might use jQuery, and but you'll still need HTML, JavaScript. You can get away without doing jQuery, just doing HTML, JavaScript, and Ajax. And the client will communicate with the HTTP, the server computer, the HTTP server. It will be over the intranet LAN or the internet WAN. And as I said, typically we use port 80, but in this case we'll be using port 6000 for to communicate with the server. We'll use the HTTP transport protocol to communicate with the server, and it will send the HTTP GET request with the post action to process the CGI script. So a GET request will go from the client side to the server side, and the server will process the request and send the HTTP response back to the computer itself. So we will see these things in action, and let's look at how does a client uh, connect to a HTTP server at the display. You need to download a HTTP server for this to work. You can download a Microsoft or other Apache if you run on Linux. Use Microsoft. I have Microsoft connected to the local router in my home. If your port 80 is already being used, you have to specify the port you want to use and is available. And the port I use is 6000, and there is a special directory that I need. It's inetpub web pages. This is where my web page is going to be residing. I will have a skeleton HTML web page that will be name, and the document type will be mypage.html. So we'll reside on that. So we'll just show how the HTTP server works. This is the HTTP server, and as you see, I have set the in the root directory. I've set the path to inetpub web pages. This is where my rudimentary HTML web page will reside, and I have server name. I've specified that 6000 is my port. It used to be 80, I changed it to 6000. So that's how it's going to be working. Now, typically, if I just click on the web page, it will work, but let me show you how we can connect via Internet Explorer to display my web page. So, and we know that the IPv4 address of this machine is 192.168.1.3. If you don't know it, if you type ipconfig in your command prompt, you will get the IPv4 address. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to type http colon / 192.168.1.3 colon 6000 colon my web page.html. So this is a web page. My web page is a .html doc that I have created, and it resides on my web page with my web directory. And basically it will tell you that it will come out with a background color red, and it will print this is the body of my web page, and this is my web page. That's all it does. A request is going to be sent as soon as I click on this. A request is going to be sent to the web server, and it's going to send the web page back to the client, and you see it came out in red, and it says this is my body. And if you look in the web server, you will see that there's a web page, mywebpage.html. It was hit not 2 times because I hit it 1 time before, and it was last hit at this time. and the URL for this is mywebpage.htm. So basically, the client machine has sent a request to the server machine, which in this case is the same machine, but in the outside world you will have a different machine out there, and it looks in the web directory for your mywebpage.htm document, and it will send it over in the response back, and that's why you see the red background color. Now the let's look at the content of uh, let's look at the content of my webpage.htm. It is a simple. It's a HTML file. It says this is my web page, and this is the background color is red. Font size is 70. Then I close it with /body and /html. And this is, the name of the file is mywebpage.htm. So don't forget to name it .htm if it's a HTML document. So that's all you need, and that's all that I have to show you to see how a web page connects over the internet or intranet. If you specify the machine address, I specified 192.168.1.3:6000 because that was my port. You don't need the port if it's a default 80, but we used port 6000, so we have to specify that. And then I specified my webpage.htm, and so voila, it went and got the file for us. So basically, that's it for today. That's all I had to show how a web page is displayed on the client machine.